Welcome to Money Monkey, a series of videos about money and all its uses. Today we're going to be talking about credit. Quick caveat here, I've worked in financial services for over 25 years in senior management functions across the industry. These videos are designed to give you information and not advice. I want these videos to make you curious about money and give you some ideas on how best you can make it work for you. Everyone is different, and what works for me will not work for anyone else. This is not advice, it is simply a collection of thoughts that might help you be better informed about money, its uses, and the financial ecosystem. So, we're going to be talking about credit. What is it? What do we use it for? And why do lenders charge interest? Credit. What is it? Credit, at its simplest, is the ability to borrow money from a lender to pay for things now and repay the lender in the future, usually with interest. A more complex way to look at it would be that you are borrowing money from your future self. You are making a commitment today that you will pay for today's decisions tomorrow. This is done through an intermediary or the lender who charges for this service. You are making a contract with your future self that you will honor this commitment. What do we use credit for? Credit is a great way to dream big. Building a house, how are you going to pay for it? You'll need a builder, plumber, electrician, carpenter. How are you going to pay for the building materials? Unless you're super rich or you've been saving for a long time, a house will be out of reach. Credit enables you to buy it now and pay for it as you're using it. Flexibility. Credit allows people to have a little bit more flexibility in their lives. Imagine you're fed up with your job and want to retrain. Retraining costs money and you don't want to save up for 10 years. Credit allows you to start retraining now and pay for it later. Need a new work outfit? Cheeky Nando's? Last minute gift for a loved one when I forgot it was my wife's birthday? Without credit, we'd all just be saving so we could achieve some flexibility and our money would be stagnating under our mattress. Consumer protections. In order to encourage the use of credit in the first place, many countries put in place consumer protection laws. In the UK, the UK Consumer Rights Act 2015, the Financial Services and Markets Act 2000, and the Consumer Credit Act 1974 protect consumers. In Australia, the National Consumer Credit Protection Act of 2009, the National Credit Code, and the Australian Consumer Law protect consumers. The EU Consumer Credit Directive standardise information and a 14-day withdrawal period and right to early repayment. Emergencies. What do we do in an emergency? The car breaks down. You have a hospital bill to pay because apparently AI thinks you've got 3 arms. The boiler explodes, sometimes all at the same time. Linked with flexibility, credit allows us to manage and recover from emergencies quicker and more easily. Building credit history. The more you borrow and repay in a timely fashion, the higher your credit rating and the more attractive you are as a borrower. Banks will give preferential rates, higher credit limits, and benefits to people with good credit. Some people see this concept of building or even having a credit history as a ridiculous system, as it is a range of conflicting outcomes based on differing dependent conditions. For example, I need to borrow money and therefore need a good credit rating. I can only afford to borrow money with a good credit rating. I can only get a good credit rating if I borrow money, or if I have enough money to service my debt and have a good credit rating, it is less likely that I will need favorable terms. If I am good with my money and don't regularly need to borrow, I won't have a good credit rating to enable me to borrow when I do need to. So why do we get charged interest? Lenders typically charge interest for 3 main reasons. Opportunity cost. If I lend money to you, I don't have it available to use for me. Risk. There is a risk that the borrower might default and the lender will not be able to get their money back. And the time value of money. Due to inflation, money tomorrow will not be the same value as today. Let's look at these one by one. Opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is the basic concept that if I lend you money, I then don't have that money available for anything else and I would miss out on any opportunity I might have until that money is repaid. I borrow $100 from you to buy a new hat. The following day, there's a 50% sale off flights. You wanted to go on vacation for ages but couldn't afford it. Now you don't have the money to even book the cheap flight. So, to mitigate that loss or potential loss, you charge me a little bit of interest. Secondly, risk. As we talked about in an earlier slide, the less likely the borrower is to pay back the lender, the higher the interest and stricter the terms of the loan. Imagine I lend $100 to 100 people. 3 of those people default, so instead of me getting back $10,000, I get back $9,700. To reduce my potential loss, I charge everyone a little bit of interest. If no one defaults, I make more money. If the number of people who are likely to default do so, I break even. If I'm completely wrong, I lose money. And finally, time value of money. Money in my pocket today is worth more than money in my pocket tomorrow. This boils down to two fundamental reasons. Firstly, if I have money today, I can invest it or spend it on something I have utility for. I could buy a new van and start a business. I could buy shares that pay dividends. I could buy a house to live in rather than pay rent. And secondly, inflation. Inflation causes a rise in the price of goods and services over time. Or to put it in more complex terms, my purchasing power decreases over time. I can buy a chocolate bar for $1 today. Over time, the company will raise their prices as their costs increase, or they reduce the size of their chocolate bar, known as shrinkflation, and I will get less for my money tomorrow than I can today. So that's it. What's next? Now you have a better understanding of what credit is, why we use it, and why lenders charge interest. Next time, we'll look at what you could be using credit for and how you can make credit your friend rather than your enemy.